death to Chronos. I'll see to that.
To reach Chronos in Hades 2, Melinoe must journey deeper and deeper into the Underworld. That means fighting through randomly generated rooms full of enemies and all sorts of tricks and traps. Fortunately, each new room in Hades 2 is marked by a clear symbol, letting you know what's coming up. This video will explain what every one of them means. First, it's worth pointing out that calling them all door symbols would be inaccurate. For example, in the second zone Oceanus, they're more like hatches, indicating what you can expect to find at the other end of each tube. In any case, the symbols will both indicate what's coming in the next room and help you make a choice whenever the path splits. Remember that in the majority of cases, the reward only comes after a fight. You will very rarely get anything for free in Hades 2. And because there's such excitement in discovering a lot of these encounters yourself, we'll do our best to not give too much away while still explaining every symbol.
Long lost niece, you live!
The most immediately recognizable door symbols are the icons of the game's many gods, each of which will reward you with helpful boons that augment your attacks and other abilities. There's a good mix of new and returning gods in Hades 2, so we're gonna quickly go through them all alphabetically. Aphrodite is marked by a heart. Newcomer Apollo has this sun symbol. Chaos is marked by these creepy eyes, but don't forget that their boons always come with a trade-off. Demeter has an icy branch, Hephaestus has a set of tongs, Hera has this omega symbol, Hermes has his wing, and Hestia has this rounded flame. Poseidon and his particularly powerful water boons are signified by his trademark trident, while Selene has a moon. Finally, a bolt of lightning predictably symbolizes Zeus. In addition to these singular boons, you'll encounter doors with double symbols later in the game. You'll have to choose between one of the two gods, and whomever you don't choose will be spurned. You'll have to fight through an enemy encounter while that god tries to kill you with their own special technique. But after clearing out the enemies, you'll be able to get their boon as well. It's a risk to venture into these rooms, but getting two boons from just one encounter is a deal that's hard to pass up.
Perish.
We'll call the next category upgrades, because they all buff Melinoe in some way, but they're distinct from those super special Olympic boons. First up is a Centaur Heart, which, as you might guess, raises your max life. This pentagram, conversely, means a boost to your max magic. Pomegranates mark Palms of Power, which raise the stats of specific boons you've acquired during your run. The Daedalus Hammer serves as a weapon mod, unlocking new moves for whichever aspect you've chosen. Then there are these doors with two hands and a word bubble. These indicate character encounters, such as Arachne in Erebus or Narcissus in Oceanus, and we'll stop there so as not to spoil future encounters. In each of these rooms, you'll be granted additional perks, such as Arachne's silken armor or a special gift from Narcissus. There are many different effects, but they're all here to make things easier for you.
Absolutely stunning.
Next up are all the door symbols representing resources, whether they're used during an individual run or for more permanent upgrades back at the crossroads. These gray ashes, for example, are used for equipping Arcana cards that give Melinoe buffs for her entire run. Green Psyche, on the other hand, is for upgrading her grasp. The higher that stat, the more Arcana cards she can use at once. Bones, which are colored purple here, are spent on various items and upgrades back at the crossroads. Ashes, Psyche, and Bones are all retained after a run. On the other side of the coin are these gold crowns, represented by Chronos' hourglass, and they are lost after each run. Charon's shop, which is marked by a coin purse with the ferryman's skull, is where you'll be able to spend them on healing, additional boons, and other upgrades. You can also find nectar, which is represented by this orange liquid in a round vessel. These can be gifted to the game's various NPCs, who will then reward Melinoe with keepsakes and more of their backstory. The last batch of resource doors can all be grouped together. Cinder, Pearl, Tears, Golden Apples, and Zodiac Sands are all rare resources that you acquire by defeating each region's respective boss. Cinder is given by Hecate in Erebus, while Pearls are dropped by Scylla and the Sirens in Oceanus. And once again, we'll leave it there so you can discover the other boss fights for yourself.
Oh, hey, gals. What say we give her the old song and dance?
Speaking of bosses, there are 3 extra symbols to be aware of. These can appear in addition to any of the previous ones we mentioned, attached to the same door. This little skull represents a mini-boss. There's a tough encounter on the other side of the door, but the reward for overcoming it will be greater. This red devil then means you're about to face the Guardian, aka boss of the area. Beat them, and you'll get one of those rare resources we mentioned a moment ago. Finally, you may see this checklist, which, as you might have guessed, means whatever's on the other side of the door can potentially check off one of the in-game achievements on the fated list. These cover just about every activity in the game, from boss fights to gaining specific boons. Whichever boons you choose during your run through the Underworld, this guide ought to help you make the best possible attempt. Knowing what each door symbol indicates means that you can better prepare for each encounter and make wiser decisions about where to go next when the path splits. For more help comparing boons or taking down each of the game's Underworld bosses, head over to our wiki on IGN.